We have an amazing show here on this network, and I'm glad to be definitely providing some information. And our great host, who actually shares a birthday with my mom, and all along those lines. So we've got Irene Parker, and all along that line. So looking forward to hearing this great conversation, because she knows I am a big time advocate of those that are helping folks, particularly those that are in the market, and particularly those that need consumer advocates. Because I consider Irene Parker to be an amazing lady, and also a great consumer advocate, and all along those lines. So she's doing some great work in our community, and I'm just glad to be part of this show and to find the amazing things that you are doing on a regular basis, and all along those lines. This is one of our more popular shows, and I understand from Nick that we might even be starting a new activity. He announced it on the media show, where every show will have some gamification. So there might even be some prizes going to some folks that are helping out in this advocacy work, and all along those lines. So Nick just announced that on the last show. So we got to figure out what the contest will be here on this network, because I just think every show is supposed to get its own contest. So maybe it'll be trying to figure out who has done the best job of being an advocate for those that need advocation, and all along those lines. But definitely it's something that he just announced, and all along that line. But I'm looking forward to another great show that you're about to have. And we've got the QR codes and everything else. And of course, people can text their comments on what's going on and everything, because you do get some great interest and some great things along those lines. So like I said, a big time fan of yours, big time fan of the amazing people that you bring, because you have some folks that are doing some great work. And I know that you've got that case here as well. So I'm looking forward to sitting down, listening, and learning about the great advocate work that you are doing.
Okay, and we're going to be launching a website on this show. So it's very, very exciting. I appreciate your help with the IT work with that. So I'm going to start right off. And so what we're looking for, it sounds like, is the Oscars for Pod TV. And I'm going to first introduce Sydney. And a lot of my friends that have been in the industry for a long time, I know Dennis Totino from Liberty, Tom Tubbs, and Judy Kozlowski with Remax, Hilton Specialists, that they've got their kids coming on. And so your father is Joe Takis, that was on our show before talking about tokenization, which was over my head, but I think I'm starting to get it. And we have, to help us further explain, we're not going to be talking as much about tokenization today as we are about VOLCA. And you notice that Sydney is spelled SYDNI, so it doesn't surprise me that your new website is VOLQA, VOLQA. You can explain what that is, and the predecessor company was TOWB, which I'm sure I'm mispronouncing, TOB. Maybe.
Tove, yep, TOV is kind of how you say it, yep.
Yes, and your father has a PhD in international business, I understand. So yes, he can combine that knowledge with Timeshare, and we've got a rocket launching with it today. And so Taylor, you're the Wizard of Oz behind VOLCA. And I'm gonna, before you start, let me go ahead and bring our other two guests on. These are our evaluators today. So we have Jeremy, has been a prior guest with Destination Timeshare, and he'll probably be telling us some exciting places that we should be going for the rest of 2025. And then we have my partner in honesty, Sherida. Sherida has, she had a pretty much of a disaster experience with a timeshare, where they promised her that if you go to my real estate agent, who wasn't a real estate agent, he'll be able to list your Westgate timeshare so you can afford to buy this one, which listed it for like $38,000, which was a pipe dream. So she has turned lemons into lemonade by getting her Florida real estate license, and now she works in Marriott rentals and resales. So Jeremy is a big fan of Marriott, but today what we're launching on screen here is Volca. And thank you, Mark, for getting this up. I am a proud member of Volca. So a few days ago, for $1,195, never in a million years would I ever hear that Irene joined a travel club, because all we hear about is, I got a postcard in the mail to attend this meeting, and they said if I would buy into their travel club, then they would get me out of my timeshare, and they don't. So they end up stuck with a timeshare and a travel club, kind of like Sherida, that's still stuck with the old one and the new one. So we're going to start, I think it's good to start with Taylor to talk about what led him. He's from Washington State, not a lot of timeshares there, but what led you to timeshares? And we don't want to talk too much about tokenization, but this is, in a nutshell, an opportunity that instead of my having to be a timeshare owner and depositing 3 to 5 weeks to get 48,000 RCI points locked into my perpetual contract with maybe a high interest rate loan for $1,195 and then 953 or thereabouts in year 2 and 3, I can experience this and have the same benefit. The other problem is availability. People are complaining about not being able to book when they want. Well, as I understand it, I will have the entire universe of RCI, and there is also an Interval International. Now, we do have people, believe it or not, that don't know what RCI is, and they don't know what II is. They're first-time buyers. In 1984, I'm dating myself, I learned what RCI was, and can you imagine, I still remember how my sales agent explained it, because I thought it was fabulous, and I don't know if it's true, but he said that the people that invented RCI, that came up with it, were somehow affiliated or copied the people that did the organ transplant program. So I don't know if it's true, but it really kind of clicked in my head. And so this is, if I had our Ozark week and I didn't want to stay in the Ozarks, I could deposit it with RCI. But instead of getting points, again, I'm dating myself, this was pre-points, I would book a week. We booked in Tahiti, New Zealand, Spain. We went all over the world with it. But in this day and age, if I book, then I would receive points. So who wants to go first, Cindy or Taylor, with the program or the nuts and bolts behind it? Let's start with Taylor. What led you to this, Taylor? Just have a dream one night about timeshares and tokens?
Yeah, it's a great question, Irene. And first and foremost, thank you so much for having us. It's a pleasure being here today and getting the opportunity to tell people about what we're doing. So I have a background myself working with early stage real estate technology companies, specifically in the hospitality sector. I spent 4 years relatively early on in my career with a company that was converting portions of Class A multifamily buildings into like boutique hotels. So I have a little bit of an experience in the hospitality sector. Previously, I honestly didn't stay at a timeshare until 2022. I think that was my first experience in a timeshare down in Cabo. It was one of the Pueblo Bonito resorts, which is lovely place to stay. And at that time, I was still with that hospitality focused technology company, and I was amazed at the lack of kind of intuitive features and kind of tech lift in how they were managing their resorts and a lot of their kind of customer experience, a lot of the customer experience portions of that business. Fast forward about a year and a half later, and I got a call from a good friend of mine, Andre Borodin, who's actually my co-founder and the chief kind of the CTO, for lack of a better word, or chief technology officer. He's really the tech wizard and mastermind behind the blockchain functionality that powers Volca. But long story short, I think we both were exposed to some similar things in the hospitality industry. We saw that there was a need for technology to improve consumer products and consumer outcomes in the timeshare space. We put our heads together about a year and a half ago, looking at ways we could deliver products to improve the timeshare owner experience. And fortunately enough, we're able to bump into you pretty early on in our journey, Irene, and consequently got involved with Joe and Sydney and his wonderful wife Dana relatively early on, and have not looked back, and could not be more thrilled with where we are today to have partnered with MVP and launching the first sale on our platform of their My Resort Co-op product. But that's kind of the 30,000 foot view of a little bit about my background, my partner's background, and how we got here today. As for what the heck actually is Volca, what are you talking about here? So Volca is a platform for tokenized products, or what's called Web3 digital assets. NFTs is another word, non-fungible tokens. What non-fungible tokens are is they are a digital record that denotes ownership and records immutable transactions on a publicly visible ledger or blockchain.
Okay, in my case, then my token would represent ownership for only the 3-year period that I signed up for.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is correct right now. I think we're looking at kind of renewability, so to speak. Like if you wanted to renew 3 years from now, we might be able to let you keep that same token instead of having to issue a new one. But I'll be completely honest, that's not a bridge we've crossed yet. But we'll get there.
We haven't hit the 3-year mark, Taylor. We don't know what's going to happen.
I was just going to say that.
We're thrilled to be in market with this first product. I think it's been great for me as kind of a timeshare outsider, talking to all kinds of people in the industry and being involved with a product that I think fills such a desirable niche. There's a lot of people that understand timeshare. They see the value in it. They've had good experiences. There's some people that are, really, really love the exchange companies and what they offer. And, what a wonderful opportunity to be able to get the best of the exchange networks without having that yearly maintenance fee, and, cutting out a lot of the uncertainty that is rampant with some of these vacation clubs in terms of hidden fees and pricing, and being able to offer, direct access into the system with a platinum membership. Here's your cost per points, very, very clean and transparent is what we wanted to try to create here. And I feel very, very happy with where we've landed and what the offering looks like for the consumer.
Well, and another question, is this what I call your grandmother's resorts, or legacy, another word for old, like me? So are you points with Wyndham points, Blue Green points, or is this strictly the legacy resorts?
No, so the RCI exchange points are good throughout their system. So there's some really, really fabulous resorts in the RCI system. Sydney, Jeremy, I'm sure you guys have seen some of the fabulous resorts RCI is affiliated with, but it runs the gamut as well. There's beautiful Hiltons and Wyndhams and cool independent resorts. There's, I think, 4,300 resorts affiliated with RCI, kind of in the larger exchange network. So there is literally kind of any profile for a resort you could imagine is in there.
Okay, and Cindy, do you want to elaborate more on what Volca is? And a little bit of confusion on my part with My Resort Co-op and MVP Club. Could you explain maybe the history, maybe go all the way back to Tobe, what they do and what led to this new development?
Yeah, that's the gambit for sure. So I'll kind of explain it the best way I can. It's sort of like an umbrella. So the top of it is a Takis company. That's what Joe and Dana created 2007 when Joe left VRI and started his own company, which was the MVP service. It was a resale company. And then outside of that, so over that umbrella is the Takis company. Then you have MVP. They do resales. They do on-site sales. That is kind of what is over My Resort Co-op, as well as our My MVP Club, which is the interval portion of it. But so MVP and Tove are sister companies. MVP kind of runs over our My Resort Co-op as well as the My MVP Club. So it kind of raindrops that way. And then Tove, which is a sister company, that does all of our consulting for resorts, which is the word that we use is called repurpose. It's basically when a resort has kind of seen the end of its life, right? It's been open 30, 40 years, had a great run. Maybe the delinquency is high. Maybe they need a lot of repairs and things like that. So we go in and we consult with them and work with them on a closure of the resort, which is the Tove side of it. But what's really cool is we're able to take a lot of those owners from those resorts that say, hey, timeshare works for me. I like using timeshare, whether maybe you do bank with an RCI or maybe they do like the deeds. Maybe that version of vacationing is kind of how their family's always done it. We're able to take those owners whose deeded resort has closed and actually move them into these clubs. It was kind of the spur of all of these ideas of how do we create something for the new generations and how they're vacationing, because timeshare just isn't quite as popular as it was 30 or 40 years ago. So we've used the clubs as a way to help bolster a little bit of those owners who lost their resort, but then they can come into the club and say, hey, maybe I do have 5 or 10 years left of good vacation time. My kids still want to come with me and all of that. So we use, in this case, My Resort Co-op as a way to get those people some points. It helps them continue to vacation. It's in a term interval, so they don't feel that pressure of, I'm getting this whole new deed. I'm getting older. How do I get out of this when I'm ready? That's kind of the idea behind the club. Is we wanted a product that people didn't, they didn't hear it and go, whoa, I don't know if I want that.
So I joined My Resort Co-op.
Yep. So that's the
Correct.
RCI affiliated club.
Okay. And you said MVP also can assist with resales?
MVP does. That's kind of the parent company, the idea of My Resort Co-op. They're relatively separate, but MVP does resales, bulk buys and things like that.
Okay. And Sherida, did you get all that?
Yes, I did.
That was a lot. You really threw me a curveball there, Irene.
So Jeremy, tell us a little bit about Destination Timeshare and how you interpreted this program, and any tips you want to share for where we should vacation in 2025.
Sure. So Destination Timeshare, I'm a timeshare related channel on YouTube. And I'm actually quite interested in this because I've done a fair bit of research over the last few months about kind of travel clubs and vacation clubs that are timeshare related, right? So they utilize, whether it's RCI or Interval International. I've done quite a bit of research into trying to kind of discover ways that people can use, or people who don't own timeshare can use timeshare and stay in timeshare, right? Not everybody wants to get into that kind of long-term commitment of timeshare ownership. Not everybody wants to own 5 weeks like we do. So it's definitely something I'm quite interested in learning more about, and definitely sounds very intriguing, where you don't necessarily have to buy into a long-term contract, or you're not locked into a deed, and you can kind of use these points on as you need to, and save money over versus booking externally, right? Whether it be through like the major kind of online booking agencies. So definitely something I'm looking forward to learning more about, and definitely happy to be here, kind of get a better understanding of how it all works and what all is behind it. And as to the question of exciting places to go this year, I mean, the destinations are endless. We're going to Hawaii personally. So that'll be coming up here in a couple months. But I mean, there's anywhere anywhere is a great place to be, in my opinion. So,
And how you have like 11,000 followers on Destination Timeshare?
it's actually up to 14,000, a little over
Wow.
14,000 now, 14,000 YouTube subscribers. So I
And
release
and
a video once a week, and the videos are all timeshare related, whether it's a resort tour at a resort we've been to, whether it's taking a look at a room, whether it's giving tips and tricks, or my opinions on different things within the industry.
so I suspect a My Resort Co-op YouTube maybe in the future might be in store for
Yeah,
Sydney.
it could be a good idea. Yeah,
Hey, let's chat, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
sure.
And this is Destination Timeshare is not your day job.
Correct. Yes,
You're an IT guy, and I know IT guys are kind of secretive about what they can say and they don't say. Like my brother worked in simulation, I never did understand it. But can you tell us a little bit about your background?
So I basically work in kind of IT. I work for a financial institution, just kind of helping. I help develop, and I guess the best way to explain it, I'm actually a product owner, so I'm over a number of different applications where I kind of help handle changes and improvement enhancements to different applications within the business. So,
Well, and I asked Sydney if Jeremy was overqualified because I heard that you're looking for 50 people to provide input. I think Taylor, you mentioned that. So Sheridan and I immediately volunteered. And how many volunteers do you have so far to provide this input? And what kind of input do you want Sheridan and I to provide?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we've been fortunate enough to be able to lean into a lot of the extent or historical relations Joe has with people he's worked with at a number of independent resorts. The feedback we've gotten is fantastic. We've had a handful of folks from that Joe and the MVP team has worked with previously sign up. As far as the feedback that kind of we're looking for, or the what we'd like to achieve in terms of a customer survey is what one of the biggest, let me put it this way, one of the biggest rebuttals we hear for why people don't want to be in timeshares because they don't want to be stuck with it. Great. We've cured for that with this shorter term. What else really is going to help drive the value proposition for the consumer? How do we create something that people are really going to want and that's really going to deliver value for them? We think, and I guess let me pause there.
Okay, and Sherida, can you, you've helped me go through this program and understand it. What value do you find in this program? And Sherida works for an unusual company that prefers to remain anonymous. Because they want only Marriott resales and rentals, and I know your partner there will say, yeah, even though we say only Marriott, we'll get all these other ones that nobody wants. So how do you find this program that could be something that would complement what you're already doing? And you've been now working in rentals and resales for about, has it been a year already, I think, right?
A little over a year. Yep.
And what have you learned? And your official title is transaction coordinator?
Transaction coordinator, and I can be a sales agent too when necessary. So customer service, I wear a lot of hats. So I like to speak to the elderly folks best of all, who are desperate to get rid of their weeks or their points. And then I work with the younger folks who want to buy weeks or points. So.
And can you see an advantage to this program for someone that a lot of people, they want to be released from their timeshare, but they still want to travel? So is this something that, you
haven't really come across anybody wanting to be released who want to travel. I usually work with the older community that they've lost a spouse or they have health issues and they're not really interested in traveling anymore. Just they would like to just not own it anymore. That's basically As far as this program goes, my first thought, because I have a membership with II, is having a real heck of a time trying to find something that I want in II. It just seems like if I put in certain dates and certain places I'd like to go, let's say for instance, Hilton Head, and if I request to see things in Hilton Head for the summertime, the summer months, because that's basically when people want to go there, they don't even have it on the list to look at options for Hilton Head in that time frame. It just seems like it's the dregs of the barrel in II. And how do you work with that with RCI so that people actually...
Well, and not only that, Sydney, I forgot to mention that you have an II program that's been operating for a while. It's a good question. If Sherida on her own is having problems with availability, is being with your II, is that still called My Resort Co-op, or does that have a different name?
Yeah, so it's My MVP Club.
Oh, My MVP Club. That's what that is. Okay, now I got
My
it.
MVP Club. They're very similar clubs in the design of them. It's still a 3-year points product. There's still like tiers of points you can get, but My MVP Club is backed by Interval, and then My Resort Co-op is backed by RCI. Because we do know there are people that prefer RCI or prefer Interval and thought, we want the same options for everybody, right? We still want to give them a term product of points where they don't have to have a deed. So we just partnered with both of them and said, you know what, let's just give the people what they want. And if you like Interval, I'd be happy to chat with you, share it offline, and we can kind of find something that works for you. And maybe RCI works better for you too. And we can explore that as well.
But would Sherida as an individual with an II membership, what are the advantages of joining the My MVP Club over just having an individual II membership?
So the club, I like to use the word boutique. It just feels fun and exclusive, right? So we'll have things. We're a club inside of Interval. So if you think of Interval as that big old circle, My MVP Club, and the same with My Resort Co-op, right? So these are interchangeable ideas here. We're a smaller club inside of the Interval or RCI club. Our Interval club, the My MVP Club, has been around longer than My Resort Co-op. So we're a little bit further ahead of the game with that build out of the club per se. So My MVP Club with Interval is going to have a list of options and resorts inside of our boutique club that maybe the whole of the Interval club doesn't necessarily have access to. So you would get something that we have a smaller list of resorts. The idea would be, there is something for everybody in that club in those weeks. And maybe there is a once in a lifetime or, a once in a lifetime. I want to go to Europe and do this big old thing. And that is the pro of being inside Interval, because then you can go out to the bigger circle. But we will have things inside of the club that Interval doesn't necessarily have. So we have more of sort of like a member exclusive list.
So if you already have an existing RCI account, would you keep that and then join, or an existing II account? Would you keep what you have and then over and above that, or would you like switch from your individual to your membership?
Ideally, you'd probably switch. So both of the clubs come with a membership to the larger club. So My Resort Co-op comes with a platinum RCI membership, as well as our MVP Club has a Club Interval Gold membership. So you wouldn't need both of them. And a lot of times exchange, whenever you go inside of RCI or even Interval, Sherida in your instance, a lot of it's timing. Yes. If the goal is to like do something really big, right? Like Hilton Head in the summer, obviously really popular, right? If you're trying to go to Aruba or Hawaii at peak season, the best time to do that is, a year in advance or something like that. That's the really tough part of really popular destinations. The further out you book, right, the better chance you have of getting that option or seeing more. It's hard when you're trying to do peak season. and then you're 6 months out or 4 or 3 or a couple weeks or something like that, the selection will definitely just be smaller because everybody wants to go.
Right.
I wish we could get something like that was massive and big and still be able to book a last minute trip. But that's the tough part. And that's exchange everywhere. It doesn't matter the club you're a part of, which kind of stinks, but it's popular. Well, can you say?
Yeah. And the proof is in the numbers. I'm going to work backwards here. Okay. I'm going to use a specific example. And this is as much for my benefit. It might be a little smaller for you guys, but I can blow it up so I can read it better. So this is an example you used that is YVE Hotel Miami. And this is a week-long stay, September 23rd to September 30th. When we lived up north, we would always try to come down here September, October. They tend to be dead months, and you get more bang from your buck. You had to use less points to come down, and it's still a great time of the year. So in this case, there's 3 tiers with my resort co-op. And this one applies to the highest tier, the Trailblazer. I purchased the Vacationer, which is the lowest tier, and the RCI point cost is $23,500. So I get 48,000 points. So to stay for a week in Miami, it would require 23,500 of my points. And I've also asked to compute this to see what my savings would be, which we have that here. But it's compared, the total RCI price is $837.56 compared to Expedia, which is $1,490 with a savings of $652 or 44% savings. Now, my question here, and let me go ahead and remove that from the screen, is when it's like trying to learn how to drive a car by somebody explaining how to drive a car, which is why I went ahead and Cindy, you did a great job selling my husband, because he's not a big fan of timeshares, and he was right with you to sign up for this program. But now if I wanted to book that, I would use my 23,000 points and I would go to my platinum membership. One question I forgot, how many levels are there at RCI? Platinum, gold, is there another level?
So there's the 3 tiers right now for my resort co-op. And
No, but RCI, I have a platinum membership. Oh. And then you mentioned gold. Is there another RCI membership? Anybody know?
Do you guys, does my resort co-op only offers platinum?
It's their best tier.
Yeah. It is.
Inside of RCI, there are 2 options, but the My Resort Co-op does only offer the platinum right now.
Okay, so that is the higher one. You never know; they have bronze and all these other diamonds
all the medals names. And you're like, which one's better?
Exactly. So now, when I use my 23,000, I go to RCI and I book that. And do I have to pay RCI anything else?
So RCI typically charges exchange fees when using their exchange points. That fee is going to depend on which resort you stay at. There's a bit of a sliding scale there. The way that my resort co-op works, though, so what you see on our website is what you pay for your platinum membership and your points. There's no additional fees. There's no yellow tape. There's no hidden fees. What you pay is what you get for that platinum membership and those points. RCI, then when you book an exchange vacation on RCI, they will have typically an exchange fee when you book directly through their website.
So would we need to add that into the comparison example, Sydney, about what I would do, and can you tell me about what it would, the exchange fee would be?
So it's going to vary. Shorter stays have a smaller exchange fee. If you're trying to book international, let's say, that's probably going to have a higher exchange fee. Um, Typically, the average, if you're looking at like a week domestic, right? Maybe you're going to Miami or something.
Let's use that exact example of the Miami hotel.
Yeah, I don't know the exact number, so if you come back and quote me, I
No,
might
no,
tell
no,
you.
no, no. Yeah.
I can actually
Um,
speak to that real quick, Irene, because we did include the exchange fee in that math. So on that comp that you pulled, you'll see that
You did or you did not?
we did, because
Oh,
the point cost is 23,500. The the Trailblazer tier point pricing is like 1750 a point. So that cost it's about $400 in points cost, 411. The total price on RCI was 837.56. So that included like a 299 exchange fee and then the other applicable fees and taxes.
oh,
So that total
oh.
RCI price of 837.56 is exactly a dollar for dollar accounting of what that would cost you if you booked that vacation owning a My Resort Co-op Trailblazer tier membership.
yeah,
Okay, well,
that's for the comparison that you put up there.
that was great. Now we're going to lose people if I don't show this other one here. And again, I can do full screen so I can read it at least. So this one, and you can go to the Volca website, My Resort Co-op. And if you go even just to volca.com, as Mark showed us at the beginning of the show, you'll still come up with this. And so there are two options. And the columns and the rows, the columns are Vacationer, which is what I purchased. And then the highest level is the Trailblazer with 108,000 points. I have every year 48,000 points. And the middle level is the Adventure with 72,000 points. So like anything else in life, renting a car, if you prepay, you're going to save some money. And so the purchase price, if I wanted to pay up front for 3 years, is $2,945. And the effective price per point, I believe, is, and I got confused with this in the beginning because I thought $20.45 per point, but it's actually per 1,000 points. So it is 2 cents, 0.2045 cents per point. But for 1,000 points, it's $20.45 compared to the Trailblazer with the highest points, $16.96 per 1,000 points. So just like if you're buying timeshare points at a sales center, the more points you buy, the less price per point. So I selected at the bottom of the page the 3-year program where I paid $1,195 my first year compared to if I was a Trailblazer. We'll just compare the highest and the lowest for now of 108,000 points. The first year fee would be $2,045. So my annual, it sounds like there's probably a club fee included for the whole 3 years in the first year, maybe? Is that?
So again, if you purchase all up front, if you pay the $295 versus the $1195, you're paying for all 3 years of your membership up front. If you pay $1195, you're just paying for your first year of membership, and then your membership fee for the RCI Platinum membership is included in that renewal price of $963.
Yeah, and the 1,000 points, the $20.45 for 1,000 points. If you pay up front the $29.45, would then compare to my little bit higher price for the financing, really $21.67 per 1,000 for the 1,195. And then what's interesting here is I have a question about this, is the addition, I can buy additional points of $16 a point for 1,000 points. I mean, 1,000 points for $16 or let's see, that would be 0.16. Is that just a one time if I wanted to kind of like a Marriott Bonvoy that I'm familiar with. If I don't have quite enough points and I need a few extras, or a frequent flyer where you don't have enough points for your airfare, you can buy extra. Is that what this is?
Yeah. So Irene, our goal with the club, I don't know, if you've ever gotten any sort of membership, not say timeshare, you always call and you kind of ask for something more, and they're like, oh yeah, our goal is to help people. That's why we did these clubs. We want people to vacation because we believe it's good for people. You get time off from work, let's figure out how to use it, right? Like let's do that. So that additional even for the option one, if you do the upfront payment or anything, we can always get you more points. We can always, skip a year or add a year or something like that. If you need more points, we're going to get them for you, and we'll get them at cost, because we want you to vacation. We want you to go and to do something. So if that means, Irene, you bought the vacationer, right? You get 48,000 points a year. Let's say you want to just go big next year, right? Say, I want to go to Hawaii and I need, let's say 60,000 points, right? Let's get you the more points, and let's not make you pay the two pennies a point, right? Let's get you down to 1 point, a penny and a half, a penny, 1.6 or whatever it is. But let's make sure we can get you the points, because you want a vacation. So if that means you need a couple more points to do a vacation, then let's do that. If you need even more points, we can pull points from the year before. Your points automatically roll over. So if you don't use your 48,000 next year for 2026, what's left will roll over. So you'll have 48,000 plus, 10 or 15 or whatever you didn't use.
And there's
and
no
that brings
fee
up
for that rollover. No
No,
fee
ma'am,
for the
automatically happens. It will automatically roll over, and there's no additional fee for it.
Okay.
And can I, like with timeshare, you can typically only roll over from 1 year to the next. If I wanted to roll year 1 and year 2 and take a big vacation in 3, I could do
Bring
that.
it on, girl. Bring it on. You go on a big vacation.
Okay, and if I decide I want to do all of my 48,000 a year in the first year, I could borrow from that. Do I have to prepay? I would think so. Yeah,
Right. So you'll have to prepay for those fees.
that's the same. If we borrow from next year's points, we always pay like 75% of the fee or something.
And even
Okay.
if you decide, Irene, as you go forward, you say, hey, we have 48,000 points. Maybe we do want a couple more as a permanent solution, right? Maybe I do want 55 or 60, because we do, maybe we do want to do something a little bit bigger. We can always, it says the additional points to add on. We can make those permanent too. If that's something that you're, instead of having to add on points every year, we can just get it on and tack on the a penny, penny 0.6 or whatever it is. So we can always keep them permanent. You can make it a one-time points edition, anything like that. We're just here to help you.
Okay, I'm a former stockbroker here, so the numbers, it kind of, what I'm thinking is, was it better for me with the 0.16 cents per point, which is kind of like the Trailblazer effective point? Would it be better to get the vacationer, and then if I want, I could get the same price with the same number of points as the Trailblazer by getting this additional $16 per 1,000?
So
If
one
that's
thing,
what you wanted to do, yeah. I mean, if you wanted that many points regularly, your best bet would be actually getting the Trailblazer, because your original price will be a little bit less. But if you're just doing a one-time points edition,
because you're adding on what you've already
Exactly.
paid for.
one thing that I tell people, Irene, that are looking at this, and Joe and Sydney have done a wonderful job creating, a pretty dynamic offering for people that maybe aren't super familiar with RCI, right? So what we wanted to do is deliver a product that, would make sense and be approachable for people that maybe don't know what RCI is or have never used it. And that's why the vacationer tier package is so wonderful, because it's like, hey, let's just get your foot in the door. It's $1,000 a year. I don't know anybody who's vacationing in any resort for under $1,000 a week. And then once you understand the system and how to use it, if you need more points and you want to take some more trips, you've already paid for your membership, go ahead and let's top your account up and get you what you need so you can get back on the road. And one last thing I want to add on that too is, as Sherida mentioned, issues with availability and booking. The booking infrastructure in RCI and II is both dynamic, meaning that it changes in real time, right? So one of the best ways to extract value from these exchange networks is what's called their like last minute deals. Last chance deals, I believe, is what RCI calls it, and it's bookings that start within 45 days or less from the date today. So those are changing in real time. And while if you want to go, the booking you're looking for in Hilton Head maybe isn't available today, the options are going to change, daily, weekly. And if you are willing to spend the time to, kind of dig in and understand the ebb and flow of how the dynamic booking portal kind of changes, you can definitely find what you want. You can find it at a great deal.
Okay.
Wow. Well, we've had since January 1, Sherida and I, we have 10 people on our board of directors, and we've had 199 families reach out to us just since January 1. We don't have search engines, we don't have ad budgets, and the biggest complaint, well, I guess the most egregious is, and it's two developers in particular where it's been complained over and over that they told me that I should buy more points so I could rent them out. And either that doesn't work or it works and they receive a cease and desist letter accusing them of commercial activity. Now, I'm always afraid to book on Red Week or Tug because they will suspend your account or cancel your reservation if the name doesn't match the name of the owner. If they see too many. And we've had this happen to people that only had 2 or 3 people, and they still either got their account suspended without warning. So when I would think though, with this program, you would not run that risk. And Sherida, you can help me out here. If you are wanting to rent out a Marriott or something, you would maybe post it on Red Week or Tug or something. And Marriott is very good in that they define it that any owner can receive 20,000 points from another owner without getting into trouble with Marriott. So my question is, this program would eliminate that risk where I'm booking through RCI, and I don't have to run the risk of somebody's being accused of commercial activity if I book through this, where that could happen with Red Week or Tug. Sherida, did that make sense?
I don't know if you can meld the two programs together. Can you?
No.
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. But I know that you can't. There are no rentals of points in either of the clubs. If you want to vacation,
no. If I owned the points that typically are the ones that are getting suspended the most, and I wanted to rent out my points, typically I would take out an ad on Red Week or Tug. And then, but when I showed up, they'd say, I'm sorry, this reservation has been canceled because the owner's name doesn't match the name and they've been accused of commercial activity. And I think by booking through RCI, I'm going to avoid that risk through your program. Jeremy, are you following this?
Yeah, I'm following you. So I understand what you're saying. So essentially, when you're booking through RCI or II directly, you're not there's no subletting happening there, right? Nobody's taking their week and renting it to you. It's happening directly through RCI or II. You're not at the risk of renting from an owner who may be breaking the rules, right? So those owners breaking the rules by renting out their week, and they're getting in trouble because they rented their week, even though they were told they could, right? So it's two essentially separate things here, right?
Right.
You're talking about renting from an owner on RCI, or sorry, on Red Week, versus booking directly through RCI or II in this type of situation. You wouldn't run that risk. Your name would be on the reservation because you have your own RCI account through My Resort Co-op that you're logging into, making that points booking and booking that reservation yourself. And then you show up, your name's on the reservation and everything.
This is huge. I mean, for someone that is 50 hours a week volunteer, hearing these nightmares day in and day out, how do you spend your retirement, Irene, angry? So it's
You need to teach it,
wonderful to
Irene. I
have.
have a great product for you. I hear you can get some points.
Yeah, and convince everyone. Now, I had just want to see here. Also, I wanted to, there was an announcement this past week that Westgate has bought VI Resorts. Are you familiar with that?
Mm-hmm. I know about it. Yeah. Vacation
Yeah,
International.
yeah, there's 41,000 owners and 40 resorts, correct? So,
wow.
yeah, that might, yeah. Are you familiar with VI Resorts, Sydney?
I know the name. Past that,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're kind of mostly in the
not-
West Coast, Northwest. Like they have them in Oregon, Washington, that
Yeah.
kind of up in that area mostly.
Yeah, Taylor, they're in your neck of the woods in
Okay.
Bellevue.
I'll have to take a look.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're not a developer per se as much. They're kind of well, as far as I know, they kind of acquired a number of different resorts. They were associated with Sunterra a number of years ago as well. So they kind of have some resorts. They have some rooms that are co-located with some of the old Diamond resorts as well. So
good company for sure in the Northwest.
Company out there.
Yeah, it's a
They have some
beautiful
inventory,
area.
I guess that Wyndham, or sorry, that Westgate's going to help them sell, right? So I keep saying Wyndham, I mean Westgate. Westgate's taking over the management and the sales of I guess the inventory that they still have to sell.
Okay, and I guess like one thing I liked, we've had on our show before, Mike Kennedy with Koala, and the other thing I liked using their program is they vet the landlord and the tenant. So I've always been afraid to book on RC, and we had John Raymond was a host of our StreamYard show a couple years ago, and he's been in the resale business for 30 years, and he made some mistakes with his listing that they picked up. So what is done to, in other words, if I'm renting on Red Week or Tug, I'm not sure exactly if what I'm seeing is what I'll get. Okay,
So
so
Red Week has verified and protected now, right? And I don't think they've actually stopped allowing new DIY listings. So on Red Week, an owner can only use verified and protected, meaning they review the confirmation to make sure that that's a legitimate booking, and then they also collect the payment and hold payment until after check-in.
And I forgot. Yeah, share it.
You can still list on there without being verified and protected.
That's not what I heard as of just a couple of weeks ago. They had taken away that additional column for DIY.
I will have to check that because I've been listing on there up until last week.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I've got to mention real quick on our product development roadmap at Volca, we've got a few really exciting things coming down the pipe. I believe the next product we're going to be delivering is a rental program, a rental platform that's going to enable a pretty seamless blockchain-backed rental infrastructure for owners at independent resorts. Joe and Sydney and the team at MVP have been awesome in working with us to help deliver that, and we've got our kind of prototype of that new rental program launching here later this month, and then in another month or two. Please stay tuned, and would love to have independent owners checking out the Volca site and staying up to date with what we're doing, because there's a few other programs we're going to be launching in the same vein of these kind of peer-to-peer transactions and the technology that supports them to hopefully facilitate for better, more trustworthy transactions in the timeshare ecosystem.
Well, and if Sydney and Taylor would like to take over as being host of Pod TV, Timeshare Solution and Surrender, we could start with like once a month. And
Yeah,
right,
that.
you know,
Yeah.
Bring it on.
I love that idea. And
Yeah.
and that way, like we
Inspire.
could, yeah, that you know, I got hired as a stockbroker. They said, do you have any brothers and sisters? And I said, yeah, I have two older brothers, and I got hired. I found out later they always hire the only girl and the youngest in the family because they think she's sneaky and knows how to get her own way. So I would love to have the last week of every month on Pod TV, Timeshare Solution or Surrender, would be Sydney, Taylor, and Jeremy, and I'll just sit back and I'll be your guest. How's that?
I love it. I love it. Count me in. I'll be there.
Okay, and I want to, so we don't forget about it, because I think this is really critical for our listeners, is this, that I'm going to be getting a Web3 digital token that I could use that to transfer it if I decided I got health problems and I wanted or give it to somebody for Christmas. I could just transfer that to them. It would be, you know, they could take that over and I could sell it. Now, is that up and running? Am I going to receive a token?
It is. So you will receive a token, but the transferability of said token is still being worked on, right? So because that these tokens are necessarily intrinsically tied to RCI's system, we're still in the product development phase of figuring out how we can transfer the rights associated with that membership as it exists in that token, right? So we're currently working with them. You still receive a Web3 digital token. It'll sit in a wallet, but the actual transferability and being able to sell that to somebody else or gift it to somebody else, we're still working on that functionality. You know, that's really the core of what we're trying to do at Volca is use this technology to improve the method of ownership for various types of assets in the timeshare world, right? We believe that by reducing the cost of transfers and improving you know, functionality, eliminating fraud, we can help drive better customer outcomes.
Well, and I also want to mention before we close, we're down to our last 3 minutes, is your dad, Sydney Joseph Takis, say it again.
Takis, yeah.
Okay.
We answer to anything, Irene. So just wing
with
it.
MVP, it's a long hour. Episode 37, all episodes are available from the drop-down menu. You can just search, I usually just search Pod TV Timeshare. Episode 37, November 4th, 2024, was Joe and Jeremy, you know, as our IT guy to, I can't remember, Sharon, if you were on that show or not. So that was talking more about tokenization. And because this is where you said you wanted input from 50 active owners about how many subjects, Sharon and I being two, how many subjects do you have right now? Do you need more volunteers?
Absolutely. We're always looking for customer feedback. You know, there's kind of a running list of people that we're chatting to and trying to get feedback from. I don't have the exact number of where we're at in terms of trying to get, you know, codified feedback from 50 people, but you know, if there's any way that, you know, we can work with you to try to get a survey out there and talk to more people, we'd love to do that, Irene.
And Mark, does it sound like we're talking Greek, or you got your relatives, or you think they might
No,
still
like
be
I said,
interested in?
I'll have to see if they're interested in everything along those lines, because I have, well, my dad does his is more like a beach home that they go to every winter. So I'm not sure that it's a timeshare. I think it's something that they go to regularly in the coast of North Carolina. So it's one of those winter beach homes that my dad and his lady love go to, and all along those lines. They've been going to that for a number of years with my nephew, since I don't have any kids of my own and everything. And they have a ball down there along with Bamboo the turtle, which is his little token turtle, and all along those lines. So that's definitely something that is quite fun and they enjoy going, but I'll see if they're interested. I did have one quick question for both Sharita and for Cindy and everything, because as you know, and many people know on this network, I'm a big fan of art. So I've been trying to figure out what these elephants or whatever is behind Cindy is and all along those lines and what the picture is behind, because there's some gentleman behind Sharita and everything. But I did notice that Cindy had like these
They're
creatures.
my little Highland cows. I got them in Scotland.
Okay.
Well, and you didn't even mention my bull and bear. That is my pacemaker award from Edward Jones as a stockbroker.
I was going to mention that one too.
I know.
And Sharita, what is
Right,
who is
right.
this person behind you?
That is
And
a
Sherida, who is that?
That's not a painting. It's done in fabric. It is my grandfather when he was in Alaska working on the Alaska pipeline.
Wow.
Wow.
That's
Very cool.
The faces and hands are drawn on muslin with watercolor pencils, and then I cut out all the materials and stitch them together.
And you have a degree in graphic arts,
Yes, in visual art. Yep.
visual arts.
Mhm.
That's
Cool.
incredible.
Perfect for
Love
Pod TV.
Yeah.
Perfect about TV. I like the artwork, including the animals that Cindy had and everything. I couldn't figure out what they were, but they do look like they are quite interesting.
Okay, well, it looks like we're about out of time here, Mark.
Yep. And on that note, we're getting ready to get on out of here. Another amazing show. And I know folks will be catching it in replays, as Kim is always talking about. And all along those lines, we have still got the QR code that people can respond to as well on the live show. But definitely, we're going to get on out of here. And hopefully, we'll see some more of this great conversation. And I did hear that these are going to be two of our regular hosts at least once a month. Because you just recruited them. So
You're
I was
locked
listening to
in.
that.
We can hope.
Love it.
Happy to
Taylor
come
already
back
said he
whenever.
was down for it. And, I did hear the yes from Cindy, but I think Cindy's down for it as well.
I can make stuff up. I'm a good conversationalist.
Yeah,
I promise it'll be on topic, but I'll be there.
we're looking for witnesses here. Okay.
Well, we got
Thank
witnesses,
you,
and I
Mark.
can tell you, as one of the lead producers here, you don't have to be on topic. We get off topic on a lot of things and everything. So you can go all over the fields as long as you come back to the landing point
Full
at some
circle,
point.
full circle. We'll make it. We'll make it.
Love it.
That's great. Thank you.
We definitely
Thank
believe
you
in
so
going
much.
down the rabbit hole here on Pod TV, because that's one of my friends' favorite expressions is going down the rabbit hole, because you might
I love it.
no telling where the adventure may lead to. But on that note, we're getting ready to get out of here. Y'all were all amazing guests, and I know that I've seen some of you like Jeremy and Sharita before, but look forward to seeing all of you on a future edition of the Timeshare Solution or Surrender, which Irene has done a masterful job of creating. So we're going to get on out of here, and we'll see y'all on
Bye.
next Monday at
Thanks,
this same
everybody.
time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.